Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video you are going to learn how to test a Quarkus application with JUnit 5, Mockito and H2 Database. In the first part of this video you are going to learn how to test a movie endpoint. It's a REST endpoint with JUnit 5 and Mockito. In the second part of this video you are going to learn how to test a Panache repository, movie repository, with JUnit 5 and H2 Database. Let's start. I already created a simple Quarkus project where you can manage a movie entity. You can get all the movies inside the database, get ByID, ByTitle, ByCountry. You can create a movie inside the database. You can update ByID, and of course you can delete it. I also created the entity movie with the title, description, director, and country, and of course the movie repository that it's a Panache repository with a specific method findByCountry. In a previous video, I already created the movie resource test where I use the rest assured to test my movie resource. And as you can see inside the POM.xml file, I already have the dependencies for JUnit 5 and H2 Database with the scope test. Now I need to add the dependencies for Mockito. So let's copy the dependencies for JUnit. Let's paste it here. Let's change the artifact ID from Quarkus JUnit 5 to Quarkus JUnit 5 Mockito. Let's import the dependencies. Let me close all these files and let's go inside the movie resource because now we want to test our movie resource with JUnit and Mockito. So the first method will be the getAll, and you can see here that I use the MovieRepository.list to fetch all the movies, and in this method will return a response with status code OK. So let me first rename the existing MovieResourceTest with, I'm going to put IT, because I want to separate the class where I use this test rest assured and the class that I'm going to use JUnit 5 and Mockito. So let's now go inside the movie resource, click on the name, test, select of course JUnit 5, setup, and all the methods, because we are going to write the unit test for all the methods. Very good. Now let's go inside the movie resource test, and now we are ready to write our test. The first thing to do is to add the annotation top of the movie resource test, the annotation Quarkus test. Very good. Let me import now the Quarkus test annotation. And now, because in the movie resource we use the movie repository, we need to inject the movie repository as well inside our test. Of course, in this case, I'm going to use the annotation inject mock because the movie repository will be the mock one. Then go inside the getAll, and of course, we need to use Mockito. Let's type Mockito.when, of course our movie repository, .list all, because we use the list all method in our getAll method, and then we need to type then return what? The list of movies, because the list all will return a list of movie. So we can create our list of movies, new array list. Very good. Let's return these movies. Very good. And now we need to create a movie. So let's go and type private movie, of course, and inside the setup I'm going to create my movies instances that I'm going to use in another test. So for this movie I'm going to add of course the title, like for example first movie, the description, so movie.set description, my first movie, for example, and then the movie.set country. I'm going to put like planet, movie.set director, I'm going to put me, and last but not least, of course, the ID. So let's type movie.setID. Let's put the ID 1. Very good. Now we are ready. So let's go back inside the getAll method. And now we can use our movie resource. Before that, we need to inject the movie resource inside the MovieResourceTest. So type movie resource, and in this case, we need to use the annotation inject. Let me import the annotation inject, and then inside the method getAll, let's type movie resource, of course, .getAll. The getAll will return a response, and now we need to check our response. So now type assert not null for the response. Then I want to check the status code. In this case, it should be OK. So assert equal what response dot status dot OK dot get status code should be equal to the response dot get status code. Very good. Now I want to check also that the entity it's not null, so let's type assert not null of response dot get entity. Very good. And now I want to take this entity, so response dot get entity, it will be a list of movies. So let's cast the entity object to a list of movie. Very good. And I want to test the list. So let's type assert true. So entity dot is empty should be false. So let's put it, it's better assert false. And then the number of size. So let's type assert, in this case equal. I want to test the movie that is inside the list. So in this case assert equal first movie entity dot get index equal 0 dot get title. And now let's do the same for the description, director, country, and the ID. Very good. Now what we have to do, of course, we need to insert our movie inside the list of movies. So movies.add movie. Good. And now we are ready to run our test class. Click on run getAll. Let's wait. And finally our test passed. Very good. So let's continue with getById. So it's almost the same. Let's check what's do the getById. So it's expecting ID. It uses the findById optional, Good, it will return the movie with status code OK, otherwise with the status code not found. So let's write here Mockito dot when, in this case again movie repository dot find by ID optional. Let's put the ID 1 and then a return should be return the movie, but of course it's expecting an optional, so optional dot off and then movie. Very good. Let's import the optional. Very good. And now let's use our movie resource. So movie resource dot getById. We need to pass the ID 1. Good. In the same way, the getById will return a response as an object. So response equal movie resource dot getById. Very good. And then we need to do the same that we have done for the getAll. So again, I'm going to check that the response is not null. Then the status code is OK. Let's copy what we have done it in the previous method. Good, and the same that the entity is not null. In this case, the entity is not anymore a list of movie, but it's a movie. And then let's check the content of this movie. Let me copy all these lines. Let me put it there. And here, let's just change. Let's write entity to be consistent. And then let's remove the get 0. Very good. And now we are ready. We can call this method OK, because we can write another method, the KO. So because we want to test also the case that the movie will be not found. So in the same way, let me copy the content of the previous method. And of course, I need also this line. Exactly, good. And then here, I'm going to change this from optional of movie to optional.empty. Of course, the response will be always not null, but the response code not anymore OK, but not found. And then I'm going to check that the entity of the response should be null. Very good, because in case of movie not found, I will not return the getById. Let's do the same for the getByTitle. The getByTitle, we use the find and then a single result optional. So let's do the same things. Again, movie resource dot getTitle. In this case, I'm going to put first movie. It will return, of course, a response object. In the same way, I can go up, copy all these lines, put them there. Very good. Now we need to use Mockito to mock the movie repository find and a single result optional. In this case, let's type mockito.when. So movie repository dot find title, and then let's put there my first movie, of course. And this one, and the find method will return, and the find method will return a panache query. So we need to return a panache query. Let me type here query. Good. Let me define what is this query. So create local variable query. And now we need to mock this panache query. So let's type equal Mockito dot mock, type the class, it's panache query dot class, and then we need to mock the page and a single result optional. So type Mockito dot when query dot page of Mockito dot any dot then return. We need to return, of course, the query. Good. And then Mockito dot when query dot single result optional. In this case, we return a movie, so a optional movie. So dot then return, and then there we need to put optional of our movie. Very good. So in this case, we mock the find method, and then we mock also the single result optional, because only in the single result optional it will return our movie entity. Very good. Because in getById we use the find and single result optional. In the same way, I can copy the getById, okay, and create the getByTitle KO. Good. And the same way here, instead of returning the optional of the movie, I'm going to return optional empty. And of course, I need to remove all these lines. Here is not anymore not none, but it's only null, and the status code is not okay but not found. Let's run all these tests. Let's go up and click on run MovieResourceTest. Let's wait. Very good. All the tests that we wrote passed. So the getById, okay, KO, getByTitle, okay, KO, and getAll. Very good. Let's move on, and now let's write the test method for the getByCountry endpoint. GetByCountry endpoint is similar to the getAll, but using the findByCountry. It's a custom, a specific method coming from MovieRepository. In the same way, I'm going inside the getAll. I'm going to copy all these lines. Let me put them here. Very good. And now let's change here. Of course, is not anymore list all, but it's find by country, exactly. And then I'm going to put a country, planet. Why not? And here is MovieResource.getByCountry and the name of the country, planet, for example. Very good. That's it. It's similar to the getAll. Let's try. Click on run. Very good. Now let's move on and let's write the test for the create method. The create method will expecting the movie entity, it will persist this movie, and then it will check if the movie has been persistent. If so, it will return a response with status code created, otherwise a response with status code not found. Here let me just change not found, but it's better to put a better request. Very good. Let's go inside the MovieResourceTest, and here let's type MovieResource.create, and then we need to create a movie. So new movie, why not, equal new movie. Let's put the title, new movie dot set title. In this case I'm going to put second movie. I'm going also to put the description, set description, my second movie. Very good. Then new movie dot set country. I'm going to put planet, and then finally new movie dot set director. I'm going to put me. Of course, I don't have to put the ID because I'm going to create this movie. As usual, also this method will return a response entity, and in the same way I'm going to check the response. So the response should be not null, of course, and let me just copy not this part, but it's better this one. Yes, so let's copy all these lines. Let's put them here. Let's check the status code. So the status code in this case should be the status code created. And then if the status code has been created, it will return the URI with the ID of the movie. So in this case, assert not null is response dot get entity, of course. Very good. And now we need to mock the is persistent method. So let's type Mockito. Do nothing in this case when movie repository dot persist of any movie entity. So we need to type argument matchers dot any and put the class, of course, movie.class. Very good. And then we need to type Mockito dot when, in this case, movie repository dot is persistent of the same way argument matchers dot any of movie class. This one will return true. Good. In the same way, I'm going to type here OK. I'm going to copy the create OK method. I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to change, of course, the name from create OK to create KO. And inside is persistent, we return false. And of course, here is not anymore the identity. Now it's null. And the status code is not created, but bad request. Very good. Let's try. Click on run. Okay, we have an error. So in the line 151, assert not null of response.getEntity. So let's check the movie resource. Okay, we return the created. Okay, it's not the entity that we send back, but is the location. So in this case, the assert not null should be response.getLocation. And of course, inside the other method, the assert null should be with the get entity, of course, but also with the get location. Very good. We can also here check the entity is null. Let's try. Very good, now it's worked. Let's check also the create KO test method. Very good, also this method, also this test worked. Now let's move inside the updateById. So let's check. So the updateById is expecting ID and the movie. It will find the movie inside the database and it will update only the title and will return a response with status code OK with the movie, otherwise response with status code not found. So let me here just take what we have done it for the getById. Okay, of course. So let me take all these lines. Very good. Let me paste them inside the method updateById. Very good. Let's put OK. And then let's change here from MovieResource.getById to updateById with the ID 1, of course, and then we need the movie. And here I'm going to create a new movie. So movie updated movie equal new movie, and then I need only the title. So update movie dot set title. I'm going to put, for example, second movie. Okay, and then I'm going to put this movie inside getById. Very good. So the response should be not null, the status code OK, but the title should be not anymore first movie, but second movie. Very good. Now let me copy this one, and the same way we can write the updateById KO. Here I put KO. Okay, in this one is okay. Very good. And now, of course, inside the KO, I can here I don't need anymore the title, of course. The status code is not anymore okay, but not found. The entity should be null. I can remove all these lines. Very good. And of course the findById optional should return not the optional movie but empty, optional.empty. And here I can put directly new movie because I don't care. Very good. Last but not least, we'll check the deleteById. deleteById is expecting ID. We'll try to delete the movie. If the movie has been deleted, we'll return a response with status code no content, otherwise a response status code not found. So in the same way, let's put here OK. Let me copy all these lines. Oh, I need only this line, yes. Repository.deleteById. This one will return optional of movie. Now this one should return a boolean, so true. Very good. And then let's type MovieResource.deleteById 1, of course. In the same way, I'm going to check the response. The response should be, of course, not null. And then the status code in this case should be no content instead of not found, of course. Very good. Let me check also that the entity is null. Response.getEntity. Let's do the same with the deleteByKO. Let me copy the method. Let me paste it here. Let's put here KO. Here is not content, no content, but it's not found. Let's type not found. Very good. Let's run all these tests. Go up, and here click on run, and let's wait. Very good, all our 12 tests passed successfully. Very good. Now let's move inside the project, and now I want to create the test for the movie repository. In the same way, I'm going to create the test class, MovieRepositoryTest class. I'm going to select the findById country, click OK. Good, and here in the same way, I'm going to add the annotation Quarkus test. I'm going to inject the movie repository, will be not anymore a mock because I want to test the movie repository. Very good. And here I'm going to type movie repository dot find by country. As a country, I'm going to put a planet, and this one we should return a list of movies. Very good. In the same way, I'm going to check that this list is not null. And in the same way, I'm going to check that this list is not empty. So movies dot is empty equal false. I'm going to check that the content of this list. So I want to check the ID, of course, the title, and then the description, the director, and the country. In this case, we are directly take this information from the database, but the H2 database. If you take a look on my previous video testing Quarkus, REST Assurance, and H2 database, you could see that in that video I already had added the H2 database with all the configuration, because inside application properties, here you can find for the test all the properties, the DB kind, the database generation, and of course the file import test where I put my my mock data. So in this case I have 2 movies, okay, with the same country, planet. So my movie repository test is going to use this data. So in this case I'm going to expecting that the movie should be with ID 1, should be the title first movie, the description my first movie, of course the director me, and finally the country planet. Very good, because inside the import test I'm going to take this information. And then let me type here, of course, the size of my list, movies.getSize. Very good. Let's put here in the same way, okay. Let me copy this method, let me paste it here. Let's put here KO, and here is not anymore planet, but let's put Earth. And of course in this case should not test this, but then the list, the movie should be empty. Let's try. Click on run. Let's wait. Okay, one test failed, is the find by country, okay, because the difference here is 1 and not 2, the ID. So let me check again the find by ID country, yes, with order by desk. So in this case is not 1, but is the second movie, okay. So here I need to put 2, need to put the second movie. Of course, my second movie also for the description, because if we take a look inside the import test, because we order by ID desk, the first element should be the second movie that we insert inside the database. So let's try it again. Click on run. Let's wait. Very good, now it's worked. And also the movie repository test work very well. I can do the same for all the packages, so I can right click, and in this case I want to run the test with the coverage. Let's wait. All our 26 tests passed correctly, and here I can see the percentage. In this case we cover 100% the class, the method, and the lines. Very good. I can also open the terminal, and of course I can here type mvn compile test. And in the same way, of course, all our tests pass successfully. The source code of this video you can find inside my GitHub repository, Quarkus testing Junit Mockito. Feel free to clone it. And thank you for watching this video. If you have any question or doubts, don't hesitate to contact me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. And see you next video about Quarkus. Bye.